computer. Okay, so I am the author of Heart, Mind, and Money, Using Emotional Intelligence for Financial Success. So this was my first book before What's Your Money Personality. This is the book that started it all. I was on a journey to become debt-free, and I literally just started researching every single emotion that I felt like I was facing or that was coming up in my meditation. So Heart, Mind, and Money, I don't think it's even the breadth and scope of all the emotions that we feel as human beings. It's 22 emotions that I look at and how they impact our financial behavior and how they impact the way that we invest, spend money, save money, and make money, right? So that was really the start of this journey. Oh, interesting. It seems okay there. And then I also have my journal, the Next Level You Woman Money Journal. So on this entire journey, when I started off with our emotions around money, one of the things that I did in 2016 or 2015, actually, I became debt-free in 2014. In 2015, I decided to go do my Tantra yoga teaching certification in Goa, in India. I lived in Goa, India for a while, and I started doing my Tantra yoga certification. And with that came a lot of like amazing insights on the womb. And it started off a whole understanding where before all I was focused on was emotional intelligence around money. I started to get an even deeper understanding on how we store memories and emotions in the body. And that's how the Next Level You journal started to percolate, but it would take years before I actually brought it to fruition. I only brought this out in 2021. So you can imagine it took such a long time to get here, but it was all about what I had learned in Tantra and what I had learned through coaching clients and coaching myself. And I took a bunch of questions and I created the Next Level You Woman Money Journal, where people get to write letters to money. There's a part 1 and a part 2. So part 1 takes 6 months to complete. Part 2 takes 6 months to complete. Sometimes it takes longer. It certainly has taken me longer. And then last year, I published with Penn Macmillan, one of the leading publishers in the publishing space. I published What's Your Money Personality, right? And What's Your Money Personality, Changing the Way Black Families Manage Their Finances, looks at 10 archetypes that we have within our families when it comes to money. And one I was doing in there was I was looking at our money archetypes, which was our golden archetypes and our shadow archetypes. And I was looking at our core wounds around money. Again, when I started this work, my focus was on emotions and money. But as I started to go deeper, I started to ask myself, what is it that causes us to feel the emotions that we feel anyway? And that's where my work around ancestral money trauma really started to develop. Although a lot of that started to come when I started doing Tantra yoga and had some really trippy memories and ancestors coming through and sharing their stories, the more I got into the womb. And I started to understand that we actually carry a lot of our ancestors' memories within us, good and bad, right? So we carry trauma and we carry wisdom. And the trauma that we carry tends to impact us. But I also started to have a deeper understanding as I started to coach more and more people and do a lot more of my work around the Money Magic course in particular, that money is a collective effort. It is not an individual effort. It is something that we all experience on a collective level. Okay. So just a quick snapshot about me. I have paid off $60,000. Sorry, I was meant to write 2014. I was redoing some of the slides this morning. So Yeah, I paid off $60,000 in 2014. So I have been debt free since 2014. So that's actually 10 years. I'm still debt free right now. I haven't recreated the cycle of debt. And that was a big deal for me because most of my life, up until 2014, I had been struggling with debt. But in 2011, I went on this journey to pay off debt, right? Which is how my book came about. And I've been able to completely break out of that cycle. I am also a traveler. I've lived in over 12 different countries. I visited way more countries than that, right? And I've been building my coaching business as I travel. So my business Wealthy Buddy has been able to make $100,000 per annum in revenue over time. And I've been able to do that as I travel. And I'm going to share a lot more about how I've been able to do that today and how you break through how you can break through with your intergenerational money patterns or ancestral money patterns, right? So that you can stop recreating debt, how you can change your spending habits, and how I've also been able to grow my income. Although I have to have a little shout out to say, debt, income, expenses, those are different mindsets. When I got out of debt, I didn't know that it would be a whole different mindset altogether for me, right? For me to be able to grow my income and to actually start getting into investing. So, and that was also because my first company only made $500 in revenue in 4 years. That's about 7,500 Rand, right? But I knew that there was so much more to money. And that's why I started going on a journey, because I knew, coming from a finance background and experiencing what I was experiencing, that there was a lot more to money than what I was being taught in an educational level. Because, I mean, when you study finance, you're being taught about money, you're being taught about increasing income, but and you're being taught how to build businesses, but it's from such an academic space that you know what to do, what actions to take, what strategies to set, but you don't know why you're unable to implement those strategies. And that's where trauma comes in. So what I didn't know, right, was how to grow my income consistently, how to travel without debt. Those are things that I started to learn as I did the work, and how to create extra streams of income. What I found myself doing was basically repeating family generational patterns when it came to money, right? I did what I saw my grandmother do, what my mother do. And interestingly, when I was traveling, after paying off debt, a huge part of it for me was having the realization that I could easily get back into debt, because now I'd become debt free. But I was traveling and I was using I had saved about $50,000 just for traveling, which was about 500,000 Rand. So after about 2 years, my savings were starting to run low. And I could see how in my mind was starting to say to me, you've got to get a credit card. This is the only way that you know how to travel. Because now 2 years later, I've been just traveling, not really focused on earning an income, just living off my savings. So what's going on in my head now was like, go get a credit card, get a credit card. And I remember thinking, no, that's what I know. I'm not going to get a credit card because I want to figure out how to live a cash life and travel and invest and grow a company, because I was trying to get out of that cycle. So what I learned, and what I continue to learn, it's not about how we feel about money, but rather why we feel the way we feel about money, especially having money and making money, and how that keeps us in a loop. So I'm going to break a little bit and just ask you guys to say, before I keep going, if you have done the bank account challenge, do you mind sharing in the chat what you have learned about your relationship with money? So in the last 5 days, we've done the bank account challenge. What have you seen, right? Because as I've said, it's not about money, right? And it's not about the money. It's about how we behave with money, how we feel about money. What are some of the things that you have started to learn that have made you aware that, wait, this is not just about the money, right? It's about the way that we think, we feel, and how we respond to money. Have you been able to see any of that on your side? Feel free to share in the chat. Hi, guys, everyone else that's just joined. Welcome, welcome. So nice to have you guys in here. And of course, as I'm chatting, feel free to share what you've experienced in the bank account challenge. I mean, I've had people share with me that they've broken through with certain things. So I'll read one comment. I'm not going to say who it is, right? But I'm reading from my phone. And I haven't responded to this. So if you are online, hi, Temberazi, you can, if you want to share, you're more than welcome to share. I see you've lifted your hand. So if I know this lady's online, sorry, 5 seconds. I know this lady's online, and I haven't responded to you on, I know you're in the Zoom session because I've seen you. I haven't responded to your email, mainly because it's been a bit chaotic on the side. So one of the things she said is, I applaud you so much. I've been on such a journey trying to figure things out while trying to work hard. I have a master's in organizational psychology from the University of London, but I've manifested and lost lucrative jobs and currently work in an admin dense job at a call center. So she's shared, and she said, but in the last 4 days with you have made me connect with deep memories, feel things shift in my body, and really, really connect to why none of it was sustainable before. You have helped me really pull together years and years of work and study and effort. I'm crying. Yesterday, I burnt my thumb and was in so much pain, and also found so much relief. I have connected deeply with my ancestral panic, shame, fears, and dread of money. I'm sitting with it, allowing it, rather than habitually pushing it away. So thank you so much for sharing. And also, I think it was this morning that I woke up to this message, which was so, so nice, by someone else. Oh, on Friday, sorry. She just said, my child's father just sent over groceries for the first time ever. We're divorced for years, and he has never, even for his child's birthday ever. And I asked her, that's amazing. Have you been in the challenge? And she said, yes, I did the 5 days. So thank you. Thank you so much, guys. I know more people have sent me messages. It doesn't mean if I don't look at your messages that I didn't read them. I did. Sorry. Tembagazi, go for it. Sorry.
Hi, Vangile. Hi, everyone. I can't thank you enough for opening my eyes. For me, it really opened my eyes. I think I was in a verge of like giving up. It's like, yes, I do businesses. I work. I'm trying also another business, like I said, on the 5 days challenge. For me, it came at the right time. And it gave me a lot of value. I'm not gonna lie. So I want to be part of everything that you are doing. It really gave me a lot of understanding as to why am I feeling like how, no, the way you say it, that every time when you think of your bank account, you have to think what happens, the breath and the emotions you have. I was always so emotional, so angry every time I think of my account, and just not understanding why it's the way it is. And I work so hard, and even traveling, that like you are saying, I want to travel debt free, but it looked so impossible for me. And when you came at that time and the 5 days, it really opened my eyes. And especially on day 3, was it day 3 where you said we must also just get cash? For me, that taught me a lot of things that we just it was way deeper than just money for me. So it really helped me, the 5 days challenges, and something that I'm hoping and I'm praying that I must just keep applying in my life. So it really helped me. That's what I can say. Thank you so much for the challenge. And also on the other side, there was a debt, and it just um, I can say debt, and it's a small one that it looked so impossible. In the 5 days, I can say I felt on day 3, I felt so good when I paid it. I just released the money because I was that person who I knew that I have to pay it, but for some reason I will keep procrastinating. But when I paid that one this time, I felt the joy and I released it, and it did something to me. And also another one on Friday when we were finishing, my brother came over. He called me. He's never given me money. He just called me on a Friday. He says, "Hey, where are you?" And he came to where I'm staying. I was so surprised, and he gave me some cash money. I'm like, and always the feeling you would have when someone sometimes give you money, you will ask for more, or you will feel like um you just don't feel enough when you get a salary or you get that money. You just feel like it could be more, it could be more. But at that moment, I realized that you know what, the money is there. So thank you so much for the challenge. Thanks.
It's a pleasure, guys. It's so funny. I come from lunch with a friend of mine, and she still can't understand why I do the bank account challenge for free. I'm like, oh, how to explain the work that I do? She was like, no, Van, I can't believe you're doing this. Like you're going to the masterclass. I'm like, no, there are reasons for why I do this, But thank you, Tembagazi. So I think one of the things, a lot of people are also messaging me to find out why is it that suddenly people are giving them money and doing things for them financially, and they're receiving money. Well, it's quite simple. Like, I'm really serious when I say think of money as a lover, right? When you show someone love and they are a lover, right? And you do for them, and they are a healthy lover. We're not talking about dysfunctional relationships here where people are going to play around with us. But when someone is being shown love and you give them love, right? What often happens is that those people respond to that and they also want to give love to you, right? So they show up. So when we are showing up for money, money also shows up for us. So when I'm talking about think of money as a lover, think of money as a lover in a healthy relationship where when I give you love, you give me love, and it's a beautiful exchange of love, right? So when you show up for money, money also starts showing up for you. So Slow, you said you managed to keep the 3-day wait. Yay! So guys, the 3-day wait, for those that don't know what it is, I suggested that when money comes into your bank account, you're able to just see how you feel waiting and sitting with that money in your bank account for 3 days, right? And just observe what's coming up for you. And Slow, you say you noticed I'm becoming more aware of my decisions around money this week. Also identified I have insecurities around money that I must now learn to sit with. This exercise opened my eyes and I grew a bit in my emotional intelligence. That's beautiful. Mizo, you say bank account challenge. I've had the realization again that I have the habit of missing details in my bank account. Yeah, I read the large amounts, I miss the small amounts. I mean, how many of us do that, right? We kind of like the small amounts, we forget about them, and yet they add up over time, right? So Mizo says I have done this challenge since November 2017 annually. I see that I have new challenges. And remember, Mizo, I ran this challenge for the Money Magic students in January this year. I think you and Nantiantiambo were literally the only students to do it continuously the whole time. So yeah, and you say I don't panic anymore. I have remained consistent in that I buy according to my values. Day 3 is such a great tool. I had forgotten its power, so I'm not yet at day 4. Thank you for this work, Van. Pleasure. And also for all the Money Magic students and Bank Account Challenge students, yes, the videos are going down tonight, but they will be on the Money Magic course. They will be on the Bank Account Challenge course site. If you're a Money Magic student, you have access to that anyway, right? And then Muridi says, since I have done the bank account challenge, I was faced with a situation where I needed money, but I refused to borrow. I was waiting for a refund from one of the shops, and they say I will get the refund between 7 to 14 days. Money came through for me. I got my money within 2 days. Money is beginning to trust me, and I understand that if my intention is clear, money will honor me. I can clearly see the shift. Yes, you show up for money, money shows up for you. And Lamo, you say, I noted that my relationship with money is linked to my childhood trauma, feeling neglected, unseen, etc. I have a trauma relationship with money. To be fair, most of us have, right? And then Tozama, you say, I still feel unsafe with money. My account is forever in the negative, and it's been years. Doesn't matter if I had extra money, it just doesn't stay in my account. Someone found ways to find ways of spending it. Tozama, I want to say, are you in the Money Magic course? I feel like you may be. And if you are, please go to lesson 17 of the Money Magic course. I've uploaded a new breathwork meditation under the God wound. I'm not the one that named it. It's actually the vows to remain hidden from divine punishment. I'll do a whole masterclass for Money Magic students on that. I mean, that is like some deep stuff. But Pabi, who allowed me to use her as a guinea pig for that, named it the God Wound Reloaded. That's what she calls it. So go look for the God Wound Reloaded in lesson 17 and then do that work. And then Noktula, you say, hi, Vangile. What I've noted is that I struggle to spend money on myself. I often talk myself out of meeting my own needs and wants, which in turn makes me feel frustrated about money, which are because I put my needs last, and I usually don't have change to attend to those needs. So after day 4, I went and bought myself a new set of PJs after putting them off for months. I also said no to someone who constantly asks for money and never pays it back. Wow, that's amazing, Noktula. Like, trust me, that is a big deal. I know what it takes. If you struggle to buy yourself anything, just wow, that is amazing. Congratulations. Just big congratulations. And Lambo, you say, yes, I relate to this. And then Rose, you say, good evening, Vangile and all. Thanks for bringing awareness to me, more especially understanding emotions when I have money and when I don't have money. Thank you so much, Rose. So, guys, thank you for sharing your stories. Today, we're going to talk about what it takes for us to break through. Let's talk about when you are struggling to, maybe you've reached a saving set point, you can't break beyond or go beyond that set point. It is very normal that now we've done the work and then we suddenly find ourselves at the new set point. So now I figured out how to hold on to money, but I can't seem to break through beyond that set point, right? So what do? What is happening? Or I've paid off debt, but I find myself recreating the same debt. Or now I have a new problem, even though I'm no longer spending crazily. And this was a true thing for me. You're now still finding yourself spending cash on what you consider great investments, but they actually not great investments, right? So what's happening there? Okay, so let's go. Okay, so the first step is intergenerational trauma, understanding that trauma is stored in the body, right? Trauma is stored in the body. Most of us have started to see through the bank account challenge. Why I love doing the bank account challenge and I love the 5 days is because when I can talk to you about how your body responds to money, but until you experience it, it will just be an intellectual exercise. So now most of you have experienced it and you have seen that when you start to face it, beautiful things start to happen. You start to receive money, things start to shift for you, right? That's by just dealing and sitting with the trauma and starting to process even just a small little bit of it. Things start to shift in a beautiful way. That's because most of us are experiencing trauma isn't all the big things that happen in our lives, right? Trauma is just something that happened in this life, a past life, or ancestrally, that we or our ancestors never fully processed in our bodies. And now it's showing up. And every time we interact with money, it shows up in other ways, usually as a sensation in the body. And then that sensation is interpreted in a particular way by us to be a particular emotion, or it then triggers different thoughts for us. And those thoughts then also impact our financial behavior, right? So the important thing to note is that trauma can be passed down from generation to generation. So if we don't process some of this, just like when our parents, some of us are starting to see that, wait, our parents had intense trauma growing up, and there were certain things that they were doing with money that now, as an adult, it's impacting my financial behavior because I didn't get to experience certain things. I'm starting to spend a lot on certain things, or I'm getting anxious with groceries when I have to go grocery shopping, right? Someone was talking about that because we didn't have enough growing up, or maybe because my mother was anxious whenever she had to go grocery shopping. So that somehow stayed with us and is passed on from generation to generation. We are now here wanting to break that so that it ends with us. It doesn't continue to the next generation. Because the truth is that some people here have kids, and some of that behavior, some of those emotions, and some of our nervous system regulation, dysregulation around money is being sensed by the younger family members around us. And they are starting to learn that, wait, this is how you deal with money, right? So what often happens is based on our childhood experience around money, right? The inner child recreates their version of love using money, especially in relationships. If we're talking about family, we are often going to recreate our version of love using money. So if we grew up seeing how our parents responded with family members when it came to money, as children, you think that that is love, and how they spent money with friends, with family members, with other people is what we will start to do. And this is how we then create intergenerational money trauma, right? Without understanding it. So most of us are finding it really, really hard. A lot of people were saying, how come I find it hard to set boundaries and say no to people? Well, if you grew up as a child where you were praised for being selfless and never saying no, right? You start to feel that that is a great thing. So as an adult you feels that having boundaries and saying no is the opposite, is like basically being a bad person, or having love refused from you, right? Or having love withdrawn from you. It will lead to love being withdrawn. Or else, the other thing, most of us come from families where we observed black tax. So in a nutshell, black tax wasn't always tax. And I feel like I have to explain this, right? It didn't start off as a bad thing. The whole idea behind black tax was really started in a lot of black and brown families around in Asia and a lot on the African continent, right? Where the smartest around us, amongst us in a family, or the eldest amongst us, was then given an opportunity to go study. And education was seen as the way out of poverty. So you were then given that opportunity to go study. And then when you graduated and got a degree, you would send money home so that the second smartest or the second eldest would come and study. And then together there would be two people that could send money home, until eventually more and more people came, and you're working as a collective. You're sending money home for everyone else to come and study, get a degree. And that way everybody starts getting a degree and becoming middle class. And then we start up leveling, going from a class system of poverty to being middle class. What has happened, unfortunately, over time is that is that globalization has happened. Salaries are not increasing at the same rate as expenses. So now you have more and more people who were given the opportunity to go study by maybe the community or their parents, but they don't necessarily send money back home. And what you end up with is one person being the only one to send money back home and try to uplift the rest of the family. Problem with that is that now, if you have 5 people in the family, 5 grown adults, and only one person is helping the family, it taxes the other person, right? So now one person's brilliance is being used against them, and it causes so much issues in terms of family dynamics. As a child, if you come from this environment and you observed it, and you would see how, like, if someone refused to give money because they felt overburdened with responsibility or felt like a lot of people were asking them for money, and you saw how family members would respond when this one person tried to set financial boundaries, and they would often respond, and maybe they responded violently. This was definitely the case in my family. When my mother started putting up boundaries and responding very violently because she didn't have the tools that we now have around money. So when people would ask for money, she would get super, super upset. So what would then happen is that love would get withdrawn, right? And people would start to shun her because, wow, you can afford, you are a breadwinner, but wow, you're trying to control us with money, or you refuse to help us financially anymore. So most of us have a deep, deep fear of making a lot of money, because if we make money, then more family members will ask us for money, and we have to deal with that. I call that the fear of losing love. And we do a lot of work on that in lesson 15 of the Money Magic course, right? So that is a deep fear of losing love, that if we set boundaries with our family members, then they will completely stop dealing with us and talking to us. A lot of that is because we also haven't learned the tools. We don't have the tools as to how to talk about money. Most of us talk about money within our families from a space of trauma, right? We go into flight mode, fight mode, freeze mode, control mode. We do all of those things. So there are ways to set boundaries without fracturing a family. But my observation, and why I would panic whenever I had a lot of money, and why I would feel unsafe with money and get rid of money, was definitely because what I saw was going into fight mode, where my mother would fight, and then the whole family would be up in arms and fighting, and she would be reminding people, I did this for you, I did this for you, you guys are so ungrateful, you keep asking for more. Right? So this is where the work comes in. The inner work is also about how do we manage ourselves so that even when we are in deeply uncomfortable situations with the people we love, with friends, with family members, right? We can still find the words to keep the relationship intact, but set the boundary around money. Right? And that comes from us dealing with our fear of losing love. And this is why this is one of the core wounds under intergenerational trauma, is because love is one of the most basic things that we all need. We are so scared of losing love. And sometimes, and that makes a lot of sense, because as human beings, we need to be loved, right? It's not being needy, it's not being clingy, it's just being human. Every human needs love. Think about children and how they respond when you make your child feel unloved, how hurt they get, right? So really, really important. The other thing that really impacts us when it comes to why we're unable to increase, before I even move on to our regulated and unregulated nervous systems, right? I want to talk about how when we are actually expanding, what often happens is that we also, just apart from losing love of family members and friends, we also have this deep fear of people saying, you have changed. How many of us have heard that? Oh, since so-and-so got money, you can't even talk to them, they've changed. but it's not said in a nice manner, right? It's said in a way that is really like, oh, you don't want to deal with that person anymore. So most of us are so scared that if I make more money, I will lose my friends, I will lose my family. And the truth is, you probably will lose some people along the way. Some people may betray you. Some people may stop messing with you. Some people may stop talking with you. That is part of life, but it doesn't mean that absolutely everyone in the world will stop talking to you and that you'll be alone. Except most of us did see how certain family members, especially the breadwinners, or who I call the fixers, were sometimes alienated within their own families, right? And within our own families, and left completely alone because they had more. And then the next part is part of why we are unable to expand is also because we have an unregulated nervous system, right? Whew. Let's talk about that. So I deal a lot with this in lesson 7 and lesson 22 of the Money Magic course, where we do a lot of work around nervous system regulation. So most of us have already experienced, as I've said, that a lot of trauma is happening at a very physical level. Trauma is not something that I think, it's also something that is happening at a physical level. You don't need to believe it. It just is what it is, right? So most of us are dealing with money from a very unregulated nervous system. So whenever, for example, if you are an entrepreneur and you set an income goal, sometimes you're setting an income goal that completely dysregulates your nervous system and you are unaware of it, but you keep going after the same income goal, except you don't know why this income goal is causing so much havoc and why it's so hard for you to reach a particular income goal. And what most of us will do is we'll look outside ourselves and say, but my friend is able to reach this income goal without any problems. Maybe we'll feel envious, maybe we'll feel angry at ourselves, we'll blame ourselves, we'll think that there's something wrong with us. But really what it is because our goals are dysregulating us, because somehow more money makes us feel unsafe, or having more money brings up the fear that if I have more money, I'll have more responsibility within my family, and we don't have the tools to deal with that. And that is so triggering, and we're trying to get more freedom and not more responsibility. So there's so many reasons, right? So it is possible. And the other thing that most people tell me is to say, but why is it that I have a sibling, my sibling or my cousins, we all had the same upbringing, we grew up with our grandparents, etc., and yet they able to make money and I can't? Well, because your response to money in childhood and what was happening with your caregivers around money was probably different. They probably had the capacity to process what was happening, and you probably didn't fully process that. And so it still lives in your nervous system. So every time you deal with money or have more money and more money beyond your money set point, you start to completely dysregulate and freak out, right? And that impacts how much money you can receive in your business. And it will also impact your pricing, because maybe you find that, wow, it doesn't matter how high I price or how low I price, I still can't sell my products and services. Part of that could be you just don't feel safe to receive money. Again, an unregulated nervous system whenever dealing with money, right? So our nervous system regulation is definitely impacted by how our caregivers, I wrote parents/grandparents, reacted around money. That's because most of us grew up with our parents or grandparents, but if you didn't, it's also your caregivers, aunts, uncles, etc. So an example for me, my money story was impacted a lot more by my uncle, right? I grew up with my uncle. I write about this in my book, What's Your Money Personality? I talk about the fact that my uncle studied electrical engineering in then East Germany, had a master's in engineering, held really top jobs, yet every time he earned money, It was like our house was literally like the Great Gatsby. What you read about in the Great Gatsby, that was literally our house. And I think that's why I got 100% in English in grade 12 when I wrote about the Great Gatsby, because I understood it. I lived it. When my uncle had money, it was just like alcohol flowing, parties flowing. The top people, some top business people, politicians would be up in our house. There would be just barbecues, braais, whatever, you name it, we were having a blast. But 7 days after payday, we couldn't even afford, my uncle couldn't even afford to pay for electricity. Everyone in my family thought that my uncle loved money and that he was excited about money. But when I started doing this work, I started to realize that part of why I was repeating that behavior and getting rid of money wasn't because I was excited about money. It's because I was anxious about money and I was deeply, deeply scared of money. And it was turning into panic attacks around money. It wasn't that, wow, I was having fun with money. So sometimes it can look to others like we're having a lot of fun with money. We're just shopping when we have money. But what it is that we're trying to get rid of money as fast as we make it. So that was one of the things that I had to deal with, right? And the only way, and no matter how hard I tried, what was so interesting, because I felt so unsafe with money. Remember how I shared that I only made $500 in my first year, in the first 4 years of my previous company. My previous company was Speak to Be Free. I could not make more than that. Why? Because money scared me. So receiving money scared the heck out of me. At the same time, I owned a tutoring company. And in the tutoring company, I was making $8,000 a month. $8,000 a month, and I was only working 40 hours a month, not a week, a month. So I worked 40 hours a month and made $8,000 a month, right? And I got rid of that money as fast as humanly possible, right? I was $60,000 in debt still, sleeping on friends' couches, and I made that kind of money. Why? Because as soon as money came in, I had to find a way to get rid of it. I was literally calling people and giving away money. Not like people weren't even asking me for money. I was giving it away, and I didn't know why I never had money. It felt like something had happened in my brain. Like it was like all I remember was I would get paid, and then 2 or 3 days later, I would have no money, and I couldn't figure out what was happening. A lot of what was happening was that my inner child and my inner teen was hijacking me. So that part of my sub-personality, the inner child or the inner teen are called sub-personalities, were getting rid of money. Because when we feel unsafe with money, our nervous systems and the parts of us that feel unsafe with money will try to get rid of money as fast as possible so that we can get back to safety. But again, an unregulated nervous system our nervous system learns dysregulation around money from the caregivers around us. I learned dysregulation from my uncle. So I learned that when you have money, you feel anxious, you feel scared with money. And by the way, anxiety and excitement have the same physiological response. So most of us actually can't tell the difference between being anxious and being excited with money. So one of the ways that I say you can start to tell the difference is, what do you do with money? That's why the 3-day rule is so important, because the more you sit with that money for 3 days in your bank account, the more you will start to see, is it really excitement or is it really anxiety? Because you're giving yourself time to be with the money in your bank account, right? And again, I deal a lot feeling dysregulated and getting your nervous system to feel safe with money. If you're in the Money Magic course, lesson 23 of the Money Magic course, lesson 7 and lesson 22, we do a lot of the body work, even lesson 1 in the Money Magic course, right? So The other thing is, let's talk about our inherited money archetypes. I'm not going to talk too much about the book, but I'm going to talk about the fact that a huge part of why we find it hard to also expand and break through financially is because of our inherited money stories. So when I was growing up, I would always hear my family say things like, imagine these are people, like I said, my uncle was in the top 5% of people who earned high amounts of money in the family. Yet all of us had this deep belief because in my family, they would say things like, we're just not gifted with money. We are cursed with money. And what's so fascinating is that my cousin's wife, last week, I was in Joburg, and my cousin's wife said, oh, the week before last, I was in Joburg. And one of the things, and we had lunch with my cousin and his wife, who's married into the family, said something interesting. She said, I've never met a Makwakwa who's not doing well. And then she said something else. She said, you guys are so lucky with money. You have to work very hard not to have money. And I literally just sat there looking at her. Like, my husband is my witness. I was like, what are you talking about? We are terrible with money. We don't have money. We're cursed with money. I didn't say we're cursed with money, but I was like, I grew up hearing that we're terrible with money. And that's all I saw. And she was like, I married into this family and I'm seeing things differently. And I was like, I'm still not understanding what she's talking about and what she heard. Why? Because what I heard and what she's seeing, right? I'm not understanding what she's seeing, how she got to this conclusion, all of that. And it's so very interesting that that's what she sees, because what I answered and what I was telling her was a completely different story. And she was listening, and I was like, very, very fascinating. Why? Because I grew up in the very same family that she's married into, hearing that we are cursed with money, right? So these stories stay with us. Not only do they stay with us, they then live within our nervous systems, and they are carried on from generation to generation. I mean, I have ideas as to where this came from because I did a whole lot of work when I was doing the God wound work on the ancestor that basically birthed this belief that we are cursed with money, right? But a lot of us are living with these stories and we never ever get to interrogate them, right? And not only that, these stories then start to shape our archetypes around money, not just our family archetypes, but our money archetypes, how we approach money. So my money archetype around money tends to be the runaway archetype, which I talk about in my book, and the destroyer archetype. So these are archetypes that I created and that I talk about in my book, What's Your Money Personality, right? So these archetypes then we all then as a family create archetypes based on our money stories, and then we start to interact from these archetypes, right? Because I believed we were cursed with money. I thought, what is the point? What's the point? Why even bother learning about money? Why do I want to bother budgeting? Why do I want to bother about anything? Because all I have ever seen is how we squander money because we're cursed with money. And it had never, ever entered my mind that, wait, almost every adult in my family, in my maternal family, this was my maternal story around money, is educated and has a degree. So maybe there is something around money and luck here. It's not a curse. But because I believe that, it basically shaped the way that I interacted with money, behaved with money, right? And these family money stories also lead to repetition of behavioral patterns around money, so that as a family, we start to repeat certain behaviors when it comes to money, and we're not even aware of it. So and these money stories are so unconscious. You don't even see them until you give yourself time to sit with them. And you're not even understanding how they impact you at a physical level. So for me, it's one of the reasons why I would also run away from looking at my bills and my bank accounts. I never ever believed that I could save money or invest money because, well, we're quote unquote cursed with money. It doesn't matter how much money we make, we will never hold on to money. And this core money story came from an ancestor who centuries ago literally came up in a meditation and showed how he had lost 21 cows in one day. They had been burnt, and from then on he believed that there was a curse on the family. And somehow these stories continue to live within our bloodlines. So we get to interrogate those stories. We get to sit with them. We get to release them in our bodies so that they can no longer rule us, right? So when we are feeling dysregulated with money and we are struggling and we don't feel safe with money, right? And we are also struggling with our family money stories, we're more likely to get rid of money, undercharge for our products and services. This is how trauma impacts us, right? Money trauma shows up. All the things that I've just described is money trauma, right? So we will get rid of money. We will undercharge for our products and services. And because we don't feel safe with money, or because making more money goes against our family identity or how we see ourselves, because we are loyal to our families, when we do have more money, we will manifest emergencies. This is when I say manifest emergencies, it's that idea that as soon as you have more money, somehow a friend has an emergency and needs you to make more, to loan them money, right? And then also the gizzabus, the car breaks down, all sorts of things happen because we are in the process of manifesting emergencies. So for this, I love to have people do lesson 6 to lesson 9 of the Money Magic course, where they just do a lot of inner child healing. In lesson 9, it's also where we start being introduced to vows, right? Where a lot of people can start to do a lot of work around their vows of loyalty, vows and vows of rebellion. A lot of that is interconnected to our family dynamics. We have been taught that money is an individual effort. It is not. We learn about money from our families, from our caregivers, from our parents. Money is very much a collective effort. We are impacted by the people around us. We are impacted by our friends, our family, our community, how they respond to money, how they talk about money impacts us, right? And this is also where the spirit of money work comes in. So when we talk about the spirit of money work, we're looking at money archetypes, but not just the money archetypes in the traditional sense. We're looking at ancestral money archetypes, past life money archetypes that we may have embodied that we don't even know. So in lesson 0 of the Money Magic course, this is where I teach about really connecting with your spirit of money, healing your spirit of money, and creating and building a different relationship with your spirit of money, right? So we have already started touching on vows of loyalty. One of the other reasons why we struggle to break through, and for us to be able to break through financially, we have to be willing to work on our vows of loyalty. Again, as I said before, in lesson 9, that's where we do a lot. We start touching on that. In the Money Magic course, that's lesson 9 and lesson 20 of the Money Magic course. So our vows of loyalty include the loyalty to the family story of struggle. So when we are being loyal I'll just start by explaining what a vow of loyalty is, right? So in the past, for us to be here, we needed the tribe to survive. Humans, I think we're also starting to understand as they do more work around depression, we're all starting to see that, wait a minute, it's not just that being completely individualistic doesn't really work. We need community in order to survive at an emotional level, right? A lot of people have shared how one of the I don't want to say cures for depression, but one of the ways that we can overcome depression and addiction, they talk about it as it is community. Those are some of the things that they've started to notice. So it was no different in the past, right? What we needed, not just for depression or for addiction, for us to keep surviving as a species, we needed each other, right? We needed the tribe. We needed someone that would go hunting, people that would keep watch during the night to make sure that other people from other tribes didn't attack us. We needed people that would clean, people that would make clothes, and we all worked like that as a tribe. And this is how we were able to survive up until the industrial age, or maybe even later, like the Stone Age, etc. So during that era, we had to, that happened. But the amygdala, the reptilian part of the brain, researchers have shown that that emotional center of the brain hasn't evolved. So even though as humans, we have continued to evolve to be where we are because we're technologically advanced, we have computers, we now have AI. Believe it or not, there's parts of the part of the brain that is the emotional center, the amygdala, has not evolved. It is still stuck in that Stone Age era. So that part has learned that the only way for me to survive is to be in the tribe and to not break free from the tribe. This is why I always say, when people say things like, what will people say? That is the most human thing that you can have, where you are scared to do anything because what are people going to say? And in every culture, everyone has something like that, has a saying like that. What will people say? Because we know that if people have something to say, we can get kicked out of the tribe. And if we're not part of the tribe, the way that the amygdala still operates, still Stone Age, right? Even though we are now in this era, is if I'm not part of the tribe, then that means that I may as well just, I run the risk of not being able to survive and make it out there on my own. So even within our own families, we have that, where we are loyal to our families, regardless of if it's toxic, not toxic, because our inner child and our inner teen also love our family members, right? So most of us, regardless of how terrible our families have dealt with money, we create a vow of loyalty to be loyal to our families. And guess what? This is also very much a spiritual vow. It is something that is then stored in the Akashic plane. And it can also be an ancestral vow or a vow from a past life where we are just loyal to our families. And that means that we will emulate our families regardless of what they have done or regardless of the results they have gotten, even if based on their financial behavior. So most of us are not operating just as we are. We're operating from our vows of loyalty. And that's where the 4-year-old version of us or the 16-year-old version of us is managing our finances and repeating the family story of struggle. So you may find someone going just like my uncle, right? My grandmother and my grandfather struggled a lot financially, right? My uncle made lots of money, right? But he was still loyal to the family story of struggle. My uncle would even say things like, in our family, this is what we do. This is how we eat. Why? That's loyalty to the family story of struggle. So we will then emulate our caregivers, emulate whatever our parents are doing. And a huge part of that is obviously the fear of losing love, right? We want to be like everyone else in the family so that we don't get kicked out of the tribe. So even though we are now in this particular century with AI, with computers, we're on Zoom, our brains as humans are wired to act like we are still in the Stone Age when it comes to love. Right? So we have this deep fear of expanding beyond our family because we don't want to lose our family members. And this then affects how we show up in business. It affects our finances. It makes it difficult for us sometimes to move beyond our saving set point, especially if our family didn't have any savings. It makes it difficult for us to even buy groceries if our family struggled to buy groceries, right? Someone shared in the bank account challenge this week how even though they have money for groceries, they can buy everything else, but when it comes to groceries, they would feel some type of emotion around that, right? And a lot of that, when I asked, I said, what happened in the family around groceries? She said they struggled to buy groceries. Do you see how that can be deeply ingrained just around something so small? A lot of it is because we're still loyal to our family stories. So some of the work that we may have to do, even as we regulate our nervous systems, we may find ourselves unable to move forward financially, even as we do the work. A huge part of it may be because we haven't released a particular vow. If there's many different vows, but we may be struggling to release a vow of loyalty, and it may make us feel guilty. So one way that you know that you're dealing with a vow is that you are struggling with guilt. Every time you do something for yourself financially, or you make more money, instead of excitement or joy or whatever, you feel guilty. When you get out of debt, you feel guilty because there's some type of vow, right? When you charge for your products and services, you find yourself feeling guilty. And that's another vow. That's the vow of service, right? So when we release vows, we want to release vows not just at a physical level. We also want to release vows in the Akashic plane on a spiritual level and across ancestral, across the entire bloodline. Okay, so I've spoken a lot about the fear of losing love. I'm just going to say that is lesson 15 of the Money Magic course. And also our fear of losing love. Like I said, we're scared that people will say, oh my God, who does she think she is? Oh my God, she's changed because she's made money, right? Because of this fear, there's a danger that we may, how do I say, basically ignite our vows of invisibility, which is a vow to remain small, right? So we actively keep ourselves small. And the danger with the vow of invisibility for most of us is that we choose not to be seen. We learn to protect ourselves by being unseen, by hiding ourselves. So our talents become the best kept secret, right? Nobody gets to know about our talents. Nobody gets to know about our products and services. And if they do, we underprice ourselves because subconsciously we do understand that if I don't make enough money and I'm underpricing, that means that I cannot pay for marketing. I can't give to myself. I can't hire a staff. So that means that I never have to grow, right? And what we don't seem to understand is that our energy is our currency, and it really is what determines our tribes, right? So our tribes. So when we start to heal our vow of invisibility, something actually happens at an energetic level, just like some people have started to see that by sitting with the money in your bank account, you can actually start to receive just by spending money, or just by spending time with money in your bank account, you start to receive more money, right? So this is actually what happens as well when we allow ourselves to be seen and we come out of hiding and allow ourselves to play bigger. We start to attract our tribe, right? We can start to charge more of our products and services. We can start to sell more. And for people that are going to be in the Money Magic course or already Money Magic students, that is lesson 19 of the Money Magic course. So when we start to heal and we start to release the fear of losing love, we start to give ourselves permission to be seen. Because we realize that, wait, changing, expanding, growing, even if people say you have changed, it's not the end of the world. We are, after all, here to grow and expand. Even the human body continues to grow and change. So why should we not internally and at a mindset level grow and change as well? We are here to grow and change. We will continue growing and changing, right? And as that happens, and as we give ourselves permission to be loved on our journey of growth and change, we will lose some people and we will gain new people. And that's why we also want to heal our vows of invisibility, right? So just being aware of that. And I feel like this is one of my favorite vows to work on. Another way that the fear of losing love plays out is the vow of service. Oh my gosh. So the vow of service, again, some of these things, even if you Google them, guys, you won't find them online, right? They are unique to my body of work, and they are unique to the Money Magic course, right? So the way that I heal them, I created them, I named them, I created them, I explained them, and then like we heal them in the Akashic plane, we heal them on a bloodline level, ancestral plane, and then practically, right? So vows of service are vows to work very hard for little or no money, right? So that is exactly what a vow of service is. So when we have a fear of losing love, most of us have learned that for me to get love, I need to overgive, right? Just like I said at the beginning, most of us were praised for being selfless. So what we learn to do is to give and give and give. Now, how that plays out in our finances is that most of us learned that we are praised if we give just to the everything, the very bone of us, right? There's no other way to put it. It's like we give the shirt of our backs, people will praise us and will love us. So we then bring that same kind of mindset into our finances, into our careers, and into our businesses. So for business purposes, we go, wow, I want my clients to love me. So for my clients to love me, I have to give and charge almost nothing, right? I must almost like be charging almost zero for my products and services, because then people will love me. But then we end up resentful and exhausted and we don't understand why, right? And some of us are at work. Well, I must be loyal to this company and I must just work. And as long as I'm a great worker, I'll always have a job, and we're exhausted and we don't know why we're not getting a promotion. Part of it is a vow of service. We made a vow at a very young age to work hard for little or no money, because we realized that people love it when we are just the givers and we have no boundaries. Why? People obviously love it because they are benefiting, right? But also, we saw how some people will respond to people that decide to price their products and services at a premium price. Some people will say nasty things about them, criticize them, badmouth them, and suddenly we decided that we don't want to be those people. And sometimes this is a past life vow. Sometimes it's an ancestral vow, right? And sometimes, especially for many Black women, it is a vow that is thrust upon us. It's not a vow that we openly chose, but it is thrust upon us in that, like, people constantly made us keep undermining us, keep offering us so little for our work, that eventually we just learned that this is what we are worth and that's what we should accept. And we'd have mothers, like, I know when I started working, my mom is always like, whoa, so scared whenever she hears how much I charge for my products and services, because she's always like, oh my gosh, are people going to buy? Are people not going to hate you? I mean, what will people say, right? A lot of it is because that's what she was taught, right? Where, especially if you're from South Africa, during apartheid, it was a law that you will be, as a Black woman, the least paid, regardless of how much money you made in your business, right? Or how much, or how educated you were, or how qualified you were, right? So this is the work that we want to do. So we want to first heal our vows of service, not just for us, especially, as I will keep saying, for a lot of us as Black women and even other women. I mean, I do vows of service a lot with women of different races as well. When I coach them, we want to heal for that female bloodline, where as women, we were taught that we get to work hard. We get to do the laundry, clean, cook, serve, 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 serve. Serve our family, serve everyone instead of serve us. And that's what made us good wives. That's what made our ancestors good wives, right? That's what made us good girls. And that's how we got value, but we never ever saw the money. We never ever made money, and our ancestors never ever made money. So we want to also free them of those vows that were then passed on to us about womanhood, right? So that is in lesson 18 of the Money Magic course. So some things are not, again, some things don't start with us when it comes to money, but they are things that we now, like these vows of service, that we now get to heal, especially as women. I can't say this enough, because this is literally, we're probably like the third generation that is now in corporate jobs, freely running businesses. This is new. This is still generations new for some of us, right? So we want to definitely heal that. And if you're struggling to make money in your business, and no matter what you're doing, you just can't seem to break through the money set point and the receiving set point, vows of service is where you should be, because it's probably something ancestral, probably something past life, but again, also something that you may have learned in this lifetime about just giving, being the giver to your own detriment, right? And if you're struggling, if you're making money but struggling to spend money on yourself but spend on others, it's also a vow of service, right? Because that means that you are making money for everyone else but for yourself, right? And also for anyone in the Money Magic course, 16, if you're also struggling with vows of service, marry it with the 16-day income challenge 2020. That will help you a lot. I don't know why I'm struggling to move forward. Okay. The other thing that really stops us, and these, I'm not going to go in depth on these anymore, but the fear of rejection, fear of losing love again. Oh my gosh, when I was doing this PowerPoint presentation today, I think I was like, fear of losing love for everything. Okay. Fear of rejection, fear of losing love, and the fear of being cast out from the tribe will definitely limit us from expanding, right? So if you're watching this and you're like, wow, I want to go deeper, like I've done the 5 days, fall in love with your bank account challenge, and I really, really want to go deeper in this work because I want more. So if you're having that feeling like, I just want more, I want to be able to grow, I want more, I want to invite you to the Money Magic course, and I will tell you more about it. But before that, I'm going to show you some emails that people have sent me and share what people said about the Money Magic course. So one client said, I did it. I'm making work almost daily. I am feeling centered and powerful in my creative practice and my teaching. I bought my dream home in Weinberg, wood floors and high ceilings with a big garden and fruit trees. There's space to expand, perhaps an outdoor studio, perhaps divide the house into two to provide a home to rent to another artist. Working with you was truly transformative, simple. So I woke up one day in 2020 and a client of mine in the midst of COVID had sent me that, right? And then one of my clients also sent me a WhatsApp a few days ago, and she said, I even increased my pension fund percentage allocation and was thinking of how before Wealthy Money, I didn't even have a will because I was so scared to end up shortly after setting it up. And then she said, your course is life-changing. I'm functioning like an adult most of the time, not like my inner 4-year-old. And I am not a Sangoma, guys, but people do message me like this, Togo Zagogo, right? And she said, lesson one's meditation was intense, Gwavuga Idlozi, which for those of us that don't know what that means, it meant her ancestor came up and showed up. And she said, wow, Vangile, I'm so glad I listened when my ancestors told me this week to take your course. Thank you so much for your gift and wisdom. Thank you for sharing it with the world. I really appreciate you. And then obviously, if you guys haven't watched Pamela's episode in the Money Magic course, in the Money Magic podcast, you can watch it on YouTube, or you can listen on Spotify, Podbean, and iTunes, any podcast platform. He shares how he used the work, doing the inner work. He was able to go from 400,000 Rand, which is about, I don't know, I'm going to try and do the math here, probably about $50,000 a year in revenue, to 6 million Rand, which is about, I don't know. No, so 400,000 is about $30,000 in revenue, to 6 million Rand, which is about maybe $400,000 in revenue, which is kind of nice. This is a coaching feedback from one of my clients. So I thought it's actually best to show you guys the inside of the Money Magic course, because it's the easiest thing. So this is what the Money Magic course looks like as a curriculum, right? It's lifetime access. And as you can see, it's a lifetime access because it is a lot, right? So where you see this speaker thing, it means it's a meditation, right? And the videos means that I'm doing a video. So you can see all these are different meditations, the lessons, each lesson is broken down, and you can see different meditations go for different periods of time. Some meditations are 45 minutes, some 1 hour, some are like an hour and a half, some meditations are 15 minutes. It depends, right? So this is it. And it will just keep going. It's lifetime because you can literally spend 5 years in the course and never truly finish the course. I created it like that on purpose, right? Because this course is meant to be a library and an archive where I keep teaching and I keep going into the course with you. And by the way, don't mind this. This course is never meant to be done in a linear fashion. I just give suggestions for people, because when I started the course, people were really, really like, oh my God, I want to be able to figure out how to do this course in a linear manner. And I was like, okay, you guys don't want to listen, knock yourselves out. I'm going to give you an idea. And nobody has ever been able to do that, right? Because each meditation will trigger different things. Yes?
Is it just me? I'm still seeing your pink slides. I'm not seeing the course.
Okay. Are you guys only seeing the pink
Sorry.
slide? Hello? Let me see.
Yes,
not
I'm also seeing the pink slide.
Oh, it's saying the screen has stopped sharing. Okay, wait. Oh, you know what I think it is? Sorry. Give me 5 seconds, guys. I'm going to do something and see.
Thanks so much. I'm trying to see the course.
How do I share? There, share. Oh, wow. Okay, I figured out something new on Zoom. Apparently, when you change windows, it only shares the window that you asked it to share. That's weird. Can you guys see now?
Thank you.
Yes, we can see. Thank you.
Okay, so this is what the cost looks like, guys. Sorry. Please don't mind me. Was trying to get back to it. Okay, never mind. Wait. Okay. This is weird. Just give me a minute. I'm trying to, there. Here's what it looks like. Inside the course. Do you see? So it's long. It's not meant to be done in a linear fashion. If you are interested in this course, this is why I said, and this is not even the bank account challenge, right? The bank account challenge has its own thing. But when you sign up for the Money Magic course, you get access to the bank account challenge as well, right? This is a different bank account challenge for Money Magic students. And these are the different income challenges. So you can imagine if you guys had a 5-day bank account challenge, there's a bank account challenge that goes on for 12 days and it goes even deeper. So you get more from the work, right? So you can understand, if you've been watching the Money Magic podcasts and listening to it, why my clients are saying what they're saying, right? And then I have fireside chats. So fireside chats are live sessions that I have on the second week of every month and on the last week of every month. So you'll see that on the last Monday, second Sunday and last Monday, right? So you'll see that every fireside chat has 2 dates of the month. And that's where people get to have coaching with me. So you get to be part of a Zoom group coaching session. I record it and then I share it on here. So you're not left in the wilderness on your own. You also have a discovery call with me because obviously this course is huge. It's humongous. It's long, it's lifetime access, right? So as you can see, it just keeps going and going. And I keep adding things, right? Because I want it to be a library for people. When they sign up for a lifetime, right? And part of it is, I'm going to stop sharing. So when you sign up for the Money Magic course, the entire aim is for you to be able to not always have to use me as a resource. You have these resources all by yourself. And when you sign up, you get coaching with me. You do a coaching session, a discovery call with me, where we figure out your money story. And then I give you your own unique course that you will do, where I say you should start in lesson 19 for the next 6 months. You'll do this lesson, you'll do this lesson, you'll do this lesson, and we have a coaching session for an hour. Then you get access to Ngumisa, and you do 2 coaching sessions in the first month with Ngumisa, and you have access to her on WhatsApp. She's my assistant coach. She's going to teach you how to listen to your womb, talk to your womb, do all those things. And then she teaches the bank account challenge, right? And that's a big, big thing. So she works with you in the bank account challenge, and she teaches you how to do the bank account challenge also more in depth, especially if maybe you struggled with the bank account challenge course in this particular session, or you want to go deeper in the bank account challenge, right? So you're able to actually do the work with her. And then after that, you are able to do the work, and then you have the Zoom sessions on the fireside chat, right? So you have the fireside chat sessions with me, and I'm going to be doing those for as long as I can, basically, where you come and you basically, it's almost like getting coaching, but you're doing it in a group. So I'm going to show you guys what the bank account challenge course looks like. The true one, the one now that's not just the 5 days, right? So you guys got the first 5 days, right? So you did these 5 days. You didn't really get and then you got the connecting with the physical manifestation of money. And then there's more bonuses, masterclass, bonus lessons, etc. Then you've got EFT tapping and breath work that accompanies that. There's more recordings that I did live and classes. And then there's more around tuning into the nervous system with regards to money. More recordings on that. Then there's a lot about releasing that the belief that we are bad with money. And that's all to do with the bank account still. We're going into the bank account. And then there's more work around going beyond survival mode in our finances and our lives. Then there's the live class that I did in January 2023. And then I will add as a bonus other stuff, right? So I also teach the God wound. As you can see here, I teach some of the God wound and all that as relates to the bank account challenge. So the bank account challenge is a lot more than what I've been teaching in these 5 days. But I love these 5 days that I've been doing because it's a good way for you guys to get in and understand what it is, that you understand the work itself. So how do you sign up for the Money Magic course? I don't know how to let people in. Okay, I don't know. Tambagani, please I hope you're still letting people in. I thought I was going to try and see if I can, but it's a lot. Okay, so How you sign up for the Money Magic course is quite simple. You go into wealthy-money.com/Money Magic. I'm going to share this with you guys. So if you go here, you will end up at this link. So it's very easy. If you type here, there, sorry. So I'll type this for you guys. I hope you're still able to see, right? My screen. So if you come here, you just type in this, and it will send you to this particular link. I was worried it will take too long. Then you can read everything here. You go, and I'll send the link with everybody. I will share it together with this recording. I'm going to share everything in the Fall in Love with Your Bank Account Challenge group. I'll share it for people on my mailing list. Just click on here, then you click on Join the Money Magic course, right? And you can choose whichever option works for you, right? You can choose, there's a once-off option. It's charged in US dollars because for people all around the world, it's $6,999 US dollars once off. Again, you get lifetime access and you get 20% off if you choose this option. But I'm also offering a $3,000 discount. So that's like an extra 42% off for people. So if you enroll now, and then you use the coupon code that says discount, I'll show you guys. So if you click enroll, and this is only available until the 25th of August, until next Sunday. But if you type in discount and you click apply, you only have to pay $3,999. So that's only if you're paying in full. Otherwise, the other options are this. There's a monthly option. You can choose a 10-month option. You pay $888 per month for 10 months, or you can pay over 20 months for $444 over 20 months. Okay. And that's literally it. If you guys have any questions about the Money Magic course, shoot me a message, shoot me an email. Convert, if you're in South Africa, you can multiply this by 18 to get what the actual cost is in South African rands, and the cost platform will just automatically do everything for you, right? So does anyone have any questions? I know people were doing comments and all that, so I'll respond to comments. If you have any questions about what I've shared about the Money Magic course, ask away and I will see what I can share. Whew. Okay. I'll see what I can do now. I don't know how. Okay, I think Timbagani is letting people in. Perfect. Rose, you said, so I'm going all the way back, right? Rose, you said, good evening, Vangile and all. Thanks for bringing awareness to me more, especially understanding emotions when I have money and when I don't have money. It's a pleasure, Rose. Nontiantiamba, you said, since this bank account challenge, I have felt shifts in how I connect to my lineage. Listening to Pamela's conversation with you has been life-changing for me. So Pamela's conversation in the Money Magic podcast, wherever you're listening from, I think is episode 104 for everybody, right? Lesson 23 on safety has brought important guides into healing in ways where they have showed up fully. Emphasis on calling only the few, and Pamela with the maternal change makers has shifted how I call on them and how I show up for my higher self. I realize how even with a chunk of my salary deducted this month, I paid off 2 smaller debts. Oh, yay. Okay, Nadia Jumbo, I really, really am happy for you because I know how that was a big thing for you. I always fail to celebrate these. In fact, one huge debt, SARS, has been paid off, 3 debts off my shoulder. Yes. So celebration is huge, guys. It's really, really huge because this is a journey. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. I know all of us want to finish doing this ASAP. Right? We want to pay off the debt ASAP, but give yourself time. So in Tantra, you say, wow, being on the receiving end of this assistance from the firstborn at home, the shame and guilt, how she sacrificed about how she sacrificed her happiness, her further education, and now as recent as last week, she sacrificed her ancestral process because of me. The emotional abuse I suffered, being forced to attend church, which I despised and hated, and no church, then no studying, and do all the cleaning and cooking, feeling the resentment from this education. Sending you deep hugs, Nantantiambo. Okay, so definitely it's hard when people have sacrificed and given to us financially. And I also don't like how people say that in our families, right? I saw it with my mom. I saw it so often. It's very, very detrimental and damaging to a family at times, right? So I think that also it's just, we don't know how to have those conversations in our families, because imagine how when you have given up so much, you feel resentful to other people. Now, for most firstborns, especially most firstborn daughters in a Black family, oh my God, right? They can be very, very intense because they feel like they have given up the most, and they don't know how to process that pain and sit with it, right? Again, that's also a vow of service, but also it's a lot of pain and it causes so much damage. That's why I'm saying, let us be the people that do better, right? Let's learn to process our emotions, sit with our money stuff, heal it so that we can work differently. Stacey, and you say, wow, I definitely realize more and more how I repeated the same patterns with large amounts. The large amounts catch us every time. Kumisa, you say, Vangile, what do we do with debt orders in that 3 days? Oh, with debit orders in those 3 days. It's fine. Let the debit orders go, right? Let them go off your account. So if things are going off, let them go off. But don't now aid the debit orders, guys. Allow the 3 days to just be as the debit, and also observe how you are feeling. Use those 3 days to observe how you're feeling when the debit orders go off, when the debit order for your mortgage goes off, when the automated debit goes off for your car. Use those 3 days to just sit and feel into your body, observe your breath, right? Rose, you say, so on that 3 days, what to do when feeling so anxious, scared with money in the bank account, maybe feeling that it's not enough? Sit with it. Do the inner work. That's the whole point, right? You sit with it. You do the inner work. And then, no, you say, and here I thought, why are all these emergencies when I have money, yet I manifested it? Sure. One Hassan, I think you meant one lesson, more inner work to do. Dutu, you say, I struggle with the vow of visibility. I'm even scared to go live on my socials to share my work. Huh. Yeah, okay, so that is a true vow of visibility, right? So we do work on that. Like, for me, one thing that I do is I teach people not to, especially when you are feeling very, very scared and your nervous system is dysregulated, I tell people not to push through that because you may do more damage than good. So maybe one way is I really work with people on the vow of visibility, meditation, and work in lesson 19 of the Money Magic course. But the other thing you could do is maybe do small things, right? If you can't do that work, then you do like show up for like a minute, then shut down the laptop a minute once a month or something. It's slow going, right? But we're being nervous system friendly, because sometimes what often happens is most of us want to push through. And I did this before I understood this work. And what ended up happening was that I couldn't write for 2 years. I ended up with writer's block. But the beauty of it, when I started doing the work around the vow of visibility, I wrote Heart, Mind, and Money, right? So I went from not being able to write anything to like writing an entire book. But what you can do is you just sit with it for like, you do something maybe for a minute, once a week, once a month, and you just keep observing how your body feels every time you reflect on that. Every time someone comments on the live every time someone says something. It takes a bit longer, but over time, you're retraining your nervous system, right? Easy, easy, easy. The other way, the one that I know that is really fastest and most awesome that got me to my to writing books is the vow of visibility work, right? So Boitumelo, you say, the way I'm scared of having money, I always create debts that will take away all the money I have, and then I just get sad and depressed and don't have any money. Oh my gosh, sending you such deep hugs, sending you deep, deep hugs, Boitumelo, right? Okay, I don't know. I keep trying to add people, can't do it. So I think a huge part of that, again, the work that we did in the bank account challenge is going to help you. But I would also say doing a lot of some somatic work, nervous system work, so that you can feel more regulated when having money and feeling safe with money. And Slow, you say exactly what crossed my mind. Tembagazi, you say, sorry. Okay. You said it stopped being co-host. Oh, okay. No worries, sis. Cesar, you say, I must do the entire course again. The vow of invisibility has me bound and stuck. So the interesting thing is every time we expand, there's new things that come up. Because every time you go beyond your set point, something new comes up. So you make more money than you've ever made before. This is your new set point. You love it. Something new comes up. And sometimes we may even go all the way back down. And Cesar, it's really hard to redo the entire course, right? So I would just say, just go to lesson 19 and just do the vow of visibility work, right? Len, you say, my vow was made by a lady I met who told me that I will never be rich and I will always have enough. She was looking at my hand doing palm reading, which came up now. I see it had a compound effect. Len, oh my gosh, something similar happened to me during the MBA program. One of my friends read my palm and told me that I was going to go through such a hard period where I had no money and I would go through dark times, but eventually I would come out of them. And she was like, from this point onwards, you're going to be entering a few dark years of your life. And that really happened. But a huge part of me also wonders, was that something that I internalized because she read my palm, right? Or she read my cards, or so now I'm very, very cautious about people who read my charts and things like that. Huge, huge for me, right? Because I'm like, ooh, that was very, very intense. I don't know if it was gonna happen or if it's something that I internalized because I already felt some type of way about money. And then Mukle, you say, morning, Vangile. Good evening, Vangile. I have been a victim of the vow of service unknowingly, so thanks for bringing the awareness. Okay. Stacey Ann, you're saying, can we do the bank account challenge? Yes, you can. It is now a paid course, Stacey Ann, and I have made it. There is also, use the same coupon code discount for if you're paying in full for the bank account challenge for that particular course, and you will get it at a $300 off. So it's $799, and then when you use the discount code, you'll get it for $399 if you just want to do the bank account challenge course, right? Katya, you're saying thank you. The challenge is no longer available right now. When I'm done, I'm taking everything off for the challenge, Stacey Ann. Mandy, you say, Vangile, this has been phenomenal. A huge thank you. Need to pop off the call now. Perfect. Great. Cesar, you say, I'll take that piece of advice to do the course a little bit at a time. All the emotions and discoveries when I did it first time freaked me out. I understand, Cesar. And Dikelede, you say, my mortgage debit order. So iPhone 15 says, thank you for this, Van. I am blown away by this work that you're doing. I've realized a lot of traumas that is intergenerationally. I saw my mom giving money away and taking care of others, and also developed the same thinking that it's love, and found myself buying love and being scared to say no and to ask for what is mine. Oh, thank you so much, guys. I didn't even bother touching on the vow of the God wound and all of that work because that would have taken us so long in this call. Thank you for showing up. I will be posting about the Money Magic course more and more this week. The discount special is disappearing on next week, Sunday, August 25th. So if you want to take advantage of it, do it. If you want to sign up for the Money Magic course, do it right now, or at least in the coming week. And of course, the bank account challenge is available for purchase. Thank you so much. Thank you, Tembagazi. And Stacey Ann, you say, I remember you from a year ago from Kimberly. I wished I joined then. Aw, thanks, Stacey Ann. Guys, have a fantastic day further. It's been a lovely evening and a lovely experience with the bank account challenge. Have a phenomenal day further.